All right, so we are going to go on with the notes. We're going to be talking about parasites and the fungus. Now, I'm going to warn you, parasites probably have the grossest pictures. So I'm just telling you this now because when I'm about to switch slides, it's going to get, some of us have to think about how gross it might be. So, hopefully you don't lose your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, whatever time you're eating this, okay? But we gotta talk about parasites. And I love gross things. All right, so what you're looking at right here is you're looking at a parasite. It's a nice little worm in the foot. Yes, that's a worm inside of that person's foot. Ew. Okay. So, what is a parasite? It's an organism that lives on or in another organism. Yes, that, my friends, is a worm. Okay, and they're pulling the worm from that guy's foot because the worm got inside and they have the probably piece of the worm that was out and they're going to remove it, and unfortunately they can't just yank it out because if they do and they snap the worm can regenerate. So they have to literally sort of twist the worm, usually around a stick or something, but they have to twist it, and it sometimes can take a little while to get the worm out because you don't want the worm to break because the worm will still grow. Okay, so yes, we all love gross stuff. Okay, is this a happy relationship? And what we all are probably wondering is, where's the worm? Well, let me trace the worm for you. Oh, that's the worm, right in the eyeball. Oh, it's gross. Okay, it's not a happy relationship. Not for us anyway. It only benefits the parasite. You suffer, you could die at the hands of a parasite. What it's going to do is it's going to completely live off of you. It's going to eat off of you. It's going to feed off you. It's going to reproduce using you. You are just a host to it. And so it really needs you. It can live without, but it really needs a host. So it's going to look to seek for another host. So it's, yeah, not a good relationship for you. Great for the parasite, though. All right, so how does a parasite use a host? Yes, it's even gross. Ah, inside the stomach. Ugh. Okay, it's going to use your tissues. It's going to use your fluids as a source of food. This can weaken you and sicken you. This is not something that's going to be quick. So we talked about the bacteria reproducing at a very high rate and it can kill you quickly. Parasite could take a long time. It could kind of just move into your intestinal tract, which is a perfect place for a parasite. Think about it. Everything you eat goes through your intestinal tract, and it's like a parasite's like, woo, I get to eat. Okay, so it could take a really long time. It's a slow type of thing, slower than bacterial or viral diseases a lot of times. So some parasites can really just kind of anchor in and hold on and enjoy life for as long as they have to live, parasite life wise. Okay, so do parasites kill their host? In most cases, they don't, because think about it. If I have this really great deal living inside of your intestinal tract, do I want to kill you? No, because I want to stay alive. Could I kill you? Yes, because of all the effects, but I don't want to kill you because it's a good setup. If I kill you, I got to find another host, and that may be a pain in my, well, I'm a parasite, so I don't know if I have a butt, but it could be a pain in my butt. Some examples of parasites: tapeworms, hookworms, heartworms. Probably you're most familiar with heartworms if you have pets. Your pet probably takes some kind of heartworm medication. But tapeworms, that's what you can sometimes see with people who have them in their intestinal tract. They're really long worms that kind of can live there for a really long time. Now, I'm going to tell you that the next photos are going to be kind of graphic. You can handle it. Take a deep breath. But if it looks really gross and you look at it and you're like, then just, this is a good time that you could advance the slide. Okay? But I'm telling you now because that, my friends, that's heartworms. Okay? So that's a heart. And that's what's going to happen when your little spot or little rover there, your little puppy dog, if you don't properly treat them for heartworms, those worms are going to take over in the inside of their heart, and that's pretty disgusting. It's not spaghetti. It's worms. Okay, this right here is a tapeworm, and that's they start off very, very small, but they can grow. I mean, they can get some serious size on them, and they usually love your intestinal tract, so they're just going to keep winding back and forth throughout your intestinal tract, sucking, all the stuff out of you. Okay. So What's a disease that's caused by a parasite and what does it do? So an example of a disease caused by a parasite is something called African sleeping sickness. And this sickness is going to take out your red blood cells. And that's bad because your red blood cells carry oxygen. And guess what, folks? You need it. So something that's killing off your red blood cells, not a good thing. Hence why if it's a sleeping sickness, you're losing oxygen. Think about it. When you run great distances and you're kind of, you start to get tired and you get fatigued. Okay, so African sleeping sickness is making you tired because you have a lack of oxygen to your body. With that lack of oxygen, you become tired and you become weaker. And so what you can see here, these little, obviously, guess what? The red stuff is red blood cells. The purplish kind of stuff, that's going to be the virus, or not the virus, the parasite that's causing this African sleeping sickness. All right, now the fungus. That's the last set of notes. These aren't probably as bad of pictures. Parasites always are generally the grossest pictures. I don't think funguses are the bad ones. You guys, you've heard of many of these, so probably nothing, too incredibly new. But a fungus is a one-celled or it could be multi-celled organism. It's an actual little organism, living thing. And the ones that cause disease are usually the one-celled ones, okay? Some examples of the fungi, you have yeast. Yeast you probably associate most with breads or like cinnamon rolls. If you're any kind of baker, you put in yeast and it helps things rise. Molds and mildews. You might find mold and mildew in your showers or if something, has been left out too long or has been in the fridge way too long, you get that very hairy looking stuff on it. Well, it's mold, okay? Those are all examples of they're all types of fungi. An example of a disease that causes, disease causing fungus and what does it do? You're probably most familiar with things like ringworm, okay? I know it says a worm, but it's not a worm, okay? It's actually a fungus. It's probably one pretty common skin infection. I mean, most of you may have had ringworm at some point in time. It usually is going to attack your neck, your scalp, your groin, and your feet. So we can see in here, all right, right here. And the reason it's called ringworm is because the fungus actually makes a ring shape, okay? And here, this is, we can see it in there. You also can get things, and this is probably more so associated with athlete's foot, but it's the same kind of idea. They're both a fungus. And if you've ever had this, you know what it's an infection in your skin. It probably is going to give you some kind of itching. It looks disgusting. So that's ringworm. That's the fungus. And that's all we have in terms of your 4 pathogens or the 4 things that we're talking about. So parasites live off the host. They want to eat the host. They don't want to eat the host. They want to live off the host and keep their roommate situation going on as long as possible. The fungus is going to be a single cell or multi-celled organism. Single cell are usually going to be the problematic ones, or ringworm is an example. We have viruses. Remember, they're not living, okay? And they're going to inject their DNA and they're going to make your cell do all the work for them. And then finally, we've got bacteria. And bacteria is a prokaryotic cell. So it's a very simple organism. It's going to reproduce by binary fission, so it's just going to split. And for the most part, a lot of bacteria are good for you, but the ones that are bad can be really, really bad. All right, so if you have any questions, please make sure you see your teacher. And I hope that you did not just watch all this gross stuff after eating, because some of you may want to get sick, but don't get sick, okay? And if you do, go to bed, take a Pepto, put a little cold rag on your head. You'll be fine. If you have any questions, please see your teacher, and we'll see you soon.